Content warning. Of the stories I've decided to upload today, some of them deal with sensitive topics and or issues not suited for certain audiences, so viewer discretion is advised. Story 1. And everyone clapped. I experienced this situation in real life. This happened a few months ago, and I was among the ones who were clapping. So we had a wedding in the extended family, and a lot of my relatives and their children were at our house. There were like 8 people from my generation and multiple people of parents' generations staying at our house at night. But at the daytime, most of us would do what we need and or wanted to do. This particular day, there was an event we all needed to attend at 4:30 p.m. and most of the parents' generation family members are the very punctual type. Like, if they say lunch from 3 to 3:30, you'll have to make your own lunch if you are later than at least 3:45. And that day, too, they had told us wherever we go, be at home at 3 p.m. for lunch and getting ready. Whoever wrote this clearly did not have grammar in mind. We all were having breakfast, and a close relative was here to pick up some of the 8 relatives for something. My brother said he will be going to get his hair cut, and if anyone wants to go, they are free to join him. This sparks a conversation, and one of the relatives goes into a serious talk with the relative who came to pick them up. The person who got really serious about how the relative should shave their head, this relative does have a hair thinning issue, but it wasn't that serious. But the other guy just became very serious about trying to convince him to shave his head. We were surprised at the enthusiasm and passion. He was talking, but none of us took it seriously. Everyone then goes to where they need to go. I, too, had already came back before 3 p.m., and the relatives who were supposed to go with the hair thinning person were already back. We laughed about the morning discussion about shaving, and we're all enjoying our lunch together in the living room when a hot and bald guy comes to the room. Turns out the hair thinning relative actually took the morning conversation seriously and went into the salon after he dropped off the relatives where they needed to be in the morning. The guy was like 4 before by now with bald head and salon trimmed and maintained facial hair. He had become a solid 8. We all just looked at the relative who convinced him to shave his head, and everyone clapped. It is one of the memories I'll never forget. The relative still has a bald head. Okay, well, aside from some blatant grammatical errors, that story was actually pretty decent. Good read, I'd say. Story 2. Somewhere between 30 and 40 strangers helped me out a ton yesterday. If you were at an airport yesterday morning and you let someone pass you in a TSA line, skip to the end for an offer. First off, airplanes just ain't it for me. To be fair, I watched Top Gun Maverick on one yesterday, which certainly was a thrill ride that helped to distract from the constant fear that turbulence isn't being caused by wind patterns, but instead by the fury of a wrathful god. But besides Tom Cruise and Kenny Loggins. God dang it, my vocabulary is just terrible today. Anyways, being a match made in heaven, the entire experience is and was harrowing. Second, why does snow have to be a thing we accept? Are we not advanced enough as a species to set up small mounted lasers to zap it as it falls, and thus turning it into rain? Rain is manageable, understandable, conquerable. I can chug a glass of water outside right now just to show it who's winning the 60-40 makeup matchup. What the heck? Okay, this guy... Okay, I'm sorry, but this guy... whoever he or she is, he clearly doesn't know how modern engineering works. You can't. We don't have we don't have laser systems hot enough to cause climate change. And if we did, why aren't we doing it on a regular basis? And why isn't it everywhere? We would solve so many world droughts by just doing that. But I don't know. My head's just so wrapped up around that one paragraph. Uh, Anyways, but snow, horrible. It piles up. People throw it. People can fall flat on their butt in front of a small platoon of children due to it. People can get chased for throwing it at kids. It's just awful. With those out of the way, I left 4 hours early for a 2-hour drive to an airport yesterday. As someone from a tiny village right on the equator, maybe, icy roads were a mystery, enigma, nightmare, and or horror that I had never even considered, let alone cracked my rented generic mid-sized SUV through. My confidence grows, and I slowly approach Mach 60 miles per hour, when I suddenly realize that all traffic is slowing down due to the machines. As a man from a small village, maybe, the machines were, to me, a small squad of patriotic, snow-destroying tanks. They rolled through, tossing aside the enemy, and then just really BMing them, the gaming term, not the other one. Afterwards, with the salting of the earth. The only slight negative, as I pointed out to myself in my car at increasingly higher pitches, is that the max speed of these machines was a whopping 30 miles per hour, sometimes in straightaways if I prayed hard enough. Flash forward, I am at the airport and I am making loads of eye contact with other people in my quest for a boarding pass, and then directions to the nearest TSA line. Here's the thing about TSA pre-check. I don't care about getting it because I'm cool with being scanned. Scan me, Uncle T. Sam. Sorry about that one. You think I'm scared of you? I've read the rules 19 times on the website just in the past week. You ain't gonna get me. Plus, there's definitely an elitism factor, and I'm always gonna ride with the proletariat in this economy. Okay? To the surprise of only the smallest part of my soul that still believed, the line was long. Long. Pull out your phone and scroll Pokemon Go, cause it's gonna be a while long. I checked my watch, the plane was boarding, and I still had quite a ways to go after TSA. It was at that moment that I made a decision. I'm sure this isn't altogether convincing, but I try pretty much constantly to never be that guy. I broke the rule yesterday. I rehearsed a 10-20 second set of sentences. I'm so sorry to ask, completely fine, and to say no. May I move ahead of you in line as my plane is currently boarding and I'm having a mild to severe panic attack about the possibility of being stuck in the airport forever like Tom Hanks in that really awesome movie and also real life guy. Again, completely fine if you say no, and I walked up the first person back of the TSA line. That person said yes. Then the next one said yes, so did the next person, and the next, one at a time. 30 through 40 amazing people, beautiful, wonderful people. In a row, let me pass them in the line. I moved up almost all the way to the front of the line. I talked to a lot of awesome people, ultimately a super nice couple who reassured me that if I ran, I could probably make it before the boarding ended. With their confidence and my complete willingness to instantly strip and submit to the TSA agent, I was soon sprinting across the airport to my flight. For 5-10 minutes, I was boosting across the sideways escalators like the Flash. Papers flying in the air, small grandmothers and children being blown aside in the wind generated by my passing. Soon I am walking up the airplane with what should be 3 minutes before boarding would end. Turns out the plane was 20 minutes late and had just started boarding. I used the time so graciously gifted to me these amazing strangers and to instead to buy a red sports drink, a sports drink aid. Sorry, I had something in my mouth. A sports drink aid because the best flavored is red or blue, depending on how I feel. If you were at an airport yesterday about 2 or 4 and you let someone pass you in the TSA line, please send me any details, like a photo of your boarding pass or details about what airport line time to verify, and I'd love to send you $5 to thank you for your time and for being amazing. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, and people who heard me read that aloud don't actually do that. Not because this person is trying to scam you or anything like that. Possibly not, but for precautionary reasons, don't do that. You might end up getting scammed, and I don't want to be held responsible for asking people to send this guy money. Anyways. Sorry, I cannot be done. I cannot do more. You deserve more, but it's the best I can do in this economy. And with tipping culture being to the point where my own kid is starting to lug around a small tablet to charge 15 to 25% extra for hugs, I'm just kidding. We don't allow her to use any electronics or screens. Only small caliber handguns and bladed weaponry. Wait, what? Oh god, this got. Oh god. TLDR, 30 through 40 people yesterday allowed me to pass them in line at the airport to ensure I would make it in time to my first flight. If you are one of those people, please contact me with any amount of proof and I'll send you $5 for your empathy and generosity. Oh, well, that's nice of this feller. I gotta say, aside from clear grammatical errors and this guy saying that if you send him info, he'll send you money. Again, don't do that because you never know who's going to try and swindle you or try and get a hold of your private information. Don't do that. But aside from all that and and that last bit about the handguns and bladed weaponry, that got me to chuckle. All in all, I'd say this was a pretty good story to read. I'd if written didn't update every so often, I probably would read this again someday, casually speaking. Story 3. One of the contractors who worked under me quit to ask me out. I am a 40-year-old woman in a profession where I have to sell products and services. Last year, around the same time, I hired a team of youngsters whom I trained to go to different areas of the corporate sector and make sales. These sales were high-end sales and not consumer-level products. One of the fellows in my team was a young man, 24 years of age, very initiative-oriented and energy-driven. I trained him along with a few others, and he started going out to get us clients. Towards the end of the year, he had done very well, and I was going to send his name to the higher-ups to consider giving him a permanent position under me. After his training, as time went by, I noticed that he would be paying very close attention to me. When I could catch him looking, he would turn his eyes away. I did not think much of it because men will be men. He was being very respectful and professional, and that is all that mattered. I was not going to mind a glance here and there, forgiven. Just when I was about to announce that he would be getting a better paying permanent position, he came to me and said that he would like to resign. I asked him why, and he said that he is interested in a woman who may not appreciate him working there. I told him that I am about to send his name for a permanent position with all the company benefits, and people work for 4 to 5 years as underpaid contractors before they get it. He said that this woman would not appreciate it. I told him to bring his girlfriend and have her take a look at the amazing work that you do because we are a very prestigious company. He said that she knows this company. I immediately thought that he was dating one of his coworkers I had to let go. This girl was very pretty but all trouble. I didn't ask much. I told him to offer my name as his reference if he ever needed. 2 weeks later, he reaches out and says, "Boss, that woman is you. I want to take you out, and it would have been very unprofessional to ask you out if I were there under you." I was totally stunned. I never saw that one coming. He said that he has given up a major career offer to ask me out, so I need to give him just one date. He said in that date he will try to convince me that we are perfect for each other, and I need to give him the opportunity to make that sales pitch. I felt very bad for him because he had taken such a huge risk. The woman inside me is flattered because I cannot think of a man taking such a gamble for a woman that he thinks is a very long shot. The boss in me questions this whole thing, and I'm wondering if I should meet him. I made a few phone calls to arrange for his job interviews in a few places, and I'm thinking if I should use this date to tell him to look into these places for better career opportunities. Excuse me. As crazy as it may sound, it kills me to leave this young man hanging when I know he took such a huge risk with his life for me. Thoughts? Well, my 2 cents on the matter is that he's clearly a young, hard-working feller, and clearly has the both drive and initiative, as the OP put it. So I would assume perhaps give the boy a shot, especially since he clearly gave up the position he knew he was on a fast track to receive, believing that his boss would not accept a junior's date request. But it really just comes up to the OP's decision. Story 4. Wise Men Say. This past year has been one of the hardest years of my life. I've been in the hospital for quite a while, with so much going haywire for me at once. I've never been so scared for my life. But my God, do I have so many reasons to look back on this time and feel warmth. There is so much darkness floating around here. Let me be a momentary breath, or just a spot of light. Believe in good things as do I do, and one day they'll find you too. I was going to marry the love of my life, but I lost him to self-termination in 2019. I've been devastated, walking around half alive since his death. It broke me, driving me further into the chronic illnesses that have landed me where I am now. I returned home to my abusive parents' house, and were it not for my best friend of 20 years and his gracious family, I'd not be able to type this now. Since then, I was in a very abusive relationship that ended up with me being homeless for a while and disabled. I resigned to being contently a sister and nothing more to anyone. Losing my fiancé was it for me. I had the love of my life. I still have nightmares about my abuser that make it hard to see past him. Somehow, and I don't know how or why, but I think I may have encountered my fiancé's twin soul. This man I met, he sings, he plays guitar, he is eerily similar yet entirely new to the first person I ever gave my soul. From day one, I felt a pull to him, and he, I think, to me, the very first day we met. I don't know why, but I agreed to a call with him after briefly chatting on a website. He pulled out his guitar and started to sing for me, and that was it. I felt my heart flutter and my eyes went wide. I feel so stupid, so foolish, but hopeful. There's something safe about him, something I already know. I've been so conflicted. He wants to take me on a phone call date over FaceTime, but I'm in the hospital and look like absolute crap. How do I say no to a man that calls me on mute, just to comfort me with music even when I'm too sick to call? I don't believe in fate or any moving universal forces, but how could I feel as if I've known for lifetimes if there isn't something there? I know my fiancé would have wanted me to go. I know he wouldn't want me to stay paralyzed by his death forever. Still, I feel the same as I did with my last partner, like a little bit of a traitor. To anyone who had lost a partner, do you have advice for me? I really like this goofball, but I'm just so hesitant. Okay, I would say just plain go for it. Regardless of your state within the hospital and whatever sort of dilemmas you've had in the past, I would say it's best to try and heal old wounds by letting go of past endeavors. Always keep them to heart and always look back on them for a source of advice and source of wisdom, but best to let them go unless you want to stay entrenched in the past forever. Story 5. My mother got mad at me because I'm not letting my brother stay with me. I, a 30-year-old female, live in a one-bedroom apartment that's only big enough for me and my 2 cats. I have a younger brother, who we'll call Connor, 25 years old, who I don't talk to that much, who recently became homeless. I came home from work last week to find Connor sitting at my doorstep. I was freaked out because he's not supposed to know where I live. I asked him why he was here. Connor told me my ex told him where I was and said he could stay here with me. I was PO'd. I wanted to immediately unblock my good-for-nothing ex and ask him where he got the nerve to be giving out my address like that. But I decided not to let him have that kind of satisfaction. I told Connor I didn't have room for him to stay as it was a one-bedroom apartment. He was disappointed but understood and left. So I thought the matter was over. A few days later, I was at home when I heard banging on my door. I looked out at the peeping hole in the door and saw it was my mom, and talked to my mom in over 7 years at this point. I opened the door. I have one of those chain things that stop it from opening fully, and asked her what she wanted. She asked me what the H I was thinking, leaving her baby boy to freeze in the cold. I could tell from her voice she was on drugs or something. I told her that I didn't even have room for him to stay here and that I would call the cops if she didn't leave. That seemed to scare her enough to get her to leave. After that, she somehow found my Facebook and left a bunch of nasty comments on my posts. I ended up blocking her. Then she showed up to my house again, and I threatened her with a restraining order, which I fully intend on getting. Which seemed to be the end of the whole ordeal, because I haven't heard from her in the past few days. Man, that's quite the roller coaster for the excuse me, for the poster. I was actually kind of expecting the younger brother to have more of an involvement in this, but given how conceited, what is it, or I guess more understanding or uninvolved. He was in all this. Yeah, uninvolved. And seeing how uninvolved he was in all this, it's kind of a shock, kind of a bit of a shocker that it was the mom that resorted to the violence. Well, not I guess not really. I guess not really a shocker, but more so surprising. Um, well, in this sort of situation, I probably would have received the ire of my parents too, but not in a way so violently. I would, if I were that woman, I probably would consider the restraining order as a viable option, especially if, excuse me, especially if the parent in question has a history of substance abuse or violent tendencies. But that's just my 2 cents. It's not to be taken seriously. Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.